In 1752, a printer's apprentice stood outside a candlelit tavern in Philadelphia, watching shadows move behind curtained windows. He had been invited inside. Not because of his wealth. Not because of his family name. But because 3 men had vouched for his character. That apprentice was Benjamin Franklin. And what happened behind those doors would change not only his life, but the course of history itself. For centuries, men have knocked on the doors of Freemasonry. Presidents. Inventors. Architects. Revolutionaries. They entered as strangers. They left as brothers. But what did they gain? What was waiting on the other side of that door? To understand the benefits of Freemasonry, you must first understand what the world looked like when it began. Europe in the 1600s was a place of rigid hierarchy. Your birth determined your future. A peasant's son would die a peasant. A merchant could never sit with nobility. The church controlled knowledge. The crown controlled power. And for most men, there was no way out. But in the taverns and meeting halls of London, Edinburgh, and Paris, something new was emerging. Freemasonry. It claimed to trace its roots to the medieval stonemasons, craftsmen who built cathedrals across Europe. These builders had guarded their techniques like treasure. They created lodges. Secret signs. Rituals of initiation. To protect their trade. To test loyalty. To build trust. By the early 1700s, those craft guilds had transformed into something else entirely. A brotherhood open to men of all professions. A society bound not by trade, but by ideas. The first benefit of Freemasonry was simple, but revolutionary. Brotherhood. In a world where trust was rare and betrayal common, Masons created a network of mutual aid. If a brother fell ill, the lodge cared for his family. If he traveled to a distant city, he could knock on a lodge door and be welcomed as kin. If he needed work, connections, or counsel, he had brothers who would answer. This was not charity. This was obligation. A Mason swore oaths. He pledged to support his brothers as he would his own blood. And that bond crossed borders, religions, and social class. A duke and a blacksmith could sit in the same lodge. Not as master and servant. But as equals. George Washington joined Freemasonry at age 20. He was a surveyor then. Unknown. Unremarkable. But within the lodge, he found men who saw potential in him. They taught him leadership. Discipline. The value of reputation. When the Revolutionary War began, Washington's Masonic network became a web of trust. His officers were Masons. His spies were Masons. His allies in France, Masons. They did not follow him because of rank alone. They followed him because they were bound by something deeper. An oath sworn in darkness. A brotherhood tested by war. But Freemasonry offered more than connections. It offered education. In an era when most men could not read, lodges became schools. Masons studied geometry. Philosophy. Astronomy. Moral law. They debated ideas forbidden by the church. They read texts banned by kings. The Enlightenment, the intellectual movement that reshaped the modern world, was born in Masonic lodges. Voltaire became a Mason in Paris. Mozart in Vienna. Benjamin Franklin in Philadelphia. These were not coincidences. Freemasonry was a sanctuary for free thought. A place where reason was sacred. Where questions were encouraged. Where a man could better himself, not through birth, but through effort. The rituals reinforced this. Every Mason passed through 3 degrees. Entered apprentice. Fellow craft. Master Mason. Each degree was a test. Not of wealth or lineage, but of character. Initiates were blindfolded. Led through darkness. Asked to confront mortality. They learned symbols. Handshakes. Passwords. Not for theatrics, but to embed lessons into memory. The square and compass. The rough ashlar and the smooth. Every symbol carried meaning. Transform yourself as stone is shaped into architecture. Build your character as Masons build temples. Live with integrity. Die with honor. For men with ambition, Freemasonry offered something else. Access. In a world where power was inherited, Masonic lodges became alternative courts. Merchants met aristocrats. Colonials met ministers. Revolutionaries met generals. The American Revolution was planned in taverns. The French Revolution was fueled by lodge members. 9 signers of the Declaration of Independence were Masons. 14 U.S. presidents would eventually join. This was not conspiracy. This was consequence. When men of talent and ambition gather in private, change follows. But Freemasonry also taught restraint. A Mason was expected to be a better citizen. A better husband. A better man. He could not speak of politics or religion inside the lodge. He had to treat his brothers with respect, regardless of rank. He was judged not by what he claimed, but by how he lived. This discipline made Masons attractive to employers. Reliable. Trustworthy. Discreet. In the 1800s, to be known as a Mason was to be known as a man of honor. It opened doors in business. In government. In society. Not through corruption. But through reputation. And then there was the deeper pull. The mystery. Freemasonry never explained itself fully. Even today, its inner rituals remain private. That secrecy created mystique. It also created meaning. In a world where everything was public and profane, the lodge was sacred. A man entered as a rough stone. He left shaped. Polished. Transformed. The ritual was not magic. It was theater with purpose. A psychological architecture designed to change how a man saw himself. To remind him that life was short. That legacy mattered. That brotherhood was real. Not every Mason became powerful. Not every lodge held influence. But for millions of men across centuries, Freemasonry offered something the outside world did not. A chance to prove yourself. A network you could trust. A moral framework in a chaotic age. And a door that opened not by birth, but by worth. Today, Freemasonry still exists. Its lodges are quieter now. Its membership smaller. But the benefits remain. Brotherhood. Education. Discipline. Legacy. The same reasons men joined in 1717. The same reasons they join now. So what was really behind that door in Philadelphia? When Benjamin Franklin stepped inside, he did not find gold or secret knowledge. He found men. Men who challenged him. Taught him. Stood by him. Men who helped him become the person history would remember. Not because they gave him power. But because they gave him a place to build it. And maybe that is the real secret. Not what Freemasonry gives you. But what it asks you to become.